For the international news, an agreement secures 300 million doses of possible vaccine for European Union countries. In details, the Republic of Djibouti today hosted talks between Somalia and Somaliland. The talks were held today at the Presidential Palace at the invitation of President Gele and are part of the consultation between Somalia and Somaliland. After being greeted at Djibouti International Airport by Prime Minister Mr. Abdulqadir Kabil Mohammed, the leaders headed to the Presidential Palace to take part in the consultations. The President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Gele, first welcomed with all honors the President of Somaliland, Musa Bihi Abdi, and the President of Somaliland, Mr. Musa Ahmed Bihi Abdi, was accompanied by a strong delegation, including the Special Representative of Somaliland for talks with Somalia, Mrs. Edna Aden Ismail. President Gele then welcomed the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Mr. Abiy Ahmed, who arrived this morning in Djibouti to attend the consultation summit between Somalia and Somaliland. The Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, is accompanied by a large delegation of his government members. And finally, the head of state Ismail Omar Gele welcomed Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo, who arrived in Djibouti on Sunday for a working visit at the head of an important ministerial delegation. The Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo is accompanied by a large delegation, including Prime Minister Hassan Ali Khaire, the Speaker of the Somali National Assembly, Mohammed Mursal Sheikh Abdurrahman. Djibouti and Somalia enjoy close relations because of their common history and similar demographic composition. These talks are part of the consultation between Somalia and Somaliland. Now, Djibouti hosts the talk between Somalia and Somaliland, the Republic of Djibouti, under the leadership of its principal leader, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gele, hosted talks today, Sunday, between the Federal Republic of Somalia and Somaliland, represented respectively by President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohammed and President Musa Bihi Abdi. These talks, the first of their kind in several years between the two authorities, are a sign of renewed hope for the achievement of a negotiated settlement to the lasting dispute between Somalia and Somaliland. From the outset, these consultations are likely to lead to a resumption of the cooperation previously agreed upon between the two orders in a number of key areas, including the fight against terrorism, maritime piracy, and the maintenance of direct channels of communications. The outcome of the talks begun today between the two authorities will be all the more historic and substantial as the two protagonists are accompanied in this new round of discussion by all the main regional and international actors committed to achieving a definitive resolution to the dispute between Somalia and Somaliland. Indeed, in addition to Djibouti, the host country, Ethiopia, represented by the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, and IGAD are taking part in these new talks between Somalia and Somaliland. As for the international community, it is represented by the main partners in the reconstruction and development of Somalia and Somaliland, notably the United States, which initiated the holding of this conference, represented by a delegation led by Ambassador Yamamoto. It should also be noted that the European Union, represented by a high-ranking delegation, took part in the conference. President Gele's address platform of this new consultation between Somalia and Somaliland is one of the highlights of this event. In his speech, the Djibouti head of state urged the parties in discussion to show political courage and take decisions that are likely to have a positive impact on the situation of their respective populations. As a sign of a high level of the talks resumed today in Djibouti between Somalia and Somaliland, the president of the two authorities were accompanied by high-level delegations. On the Somali side, in addition, the Prime Minister Hassan Ali Khaire, the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Mr. Mohammed Mursal Abdurrahman, accompanied by President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohammed, and from the Somaliland side, in addition to a large ministerial delegation, President Musa Bihi Abdi was accompanied by the President of the Senate of Somaliland, Mr. Sulaiman Mohammed Aden, and the Special Representative of Somaliland in the talks with Somalia, Mrs. Edna Aden Ismail. And now, in his turn, the American Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Mr. Donald Yamamoto, gave his vision of a better and promising future. Let's listen to him.
I'm truly inspired by the courage you have demonstrated in taking a grave personal risk for the sake of peace in our region. We are honored by the effort you have made to overcome the travel restrictions that COVID-19 has imposed upon us and engage face to face in order to pursue the promise of greater harmony in our region. There cannot be a bigger measure of your commitment, Your Excellencies, to peace than the hazardous you have taken to make this extraordinary event a reality.
Look beyond the politics. Embrace each other. Embrace the future. Embrace the possibility. Inspire new generations, not just in Somalia and Somaliland and Africa, but everywhere. We want it. We demand it. We seek it. That we can dream again, that anything is possible, that we can do anything. So help us make the impossible possible.
The Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, His Excellency Mr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, also referred to the importance of bringing together leaders from the Horn of Africa to reflect on the importance of peace, genuine reconciliation, mutually beneficial cooperation and security. Let's listen to Prime Minister Abiy.
Today, this important gathering of the leaders of the Horn of Africa gives me a good opportunity to reflect on the significance of peace, genuine reconciliation, mutual beneficial cooperation, and security. In fact, this is a family gathering more than anything else. I always say our countries are joined by one umbilical cord. We are blood brothers, and we must be proud of that. Dear brothers, the Horn of Africa has experienced prolonged periods of bad governance and failed leadership. We are too familiar with the destruction, displacement, and the decades of economic backwardness generated by senseless conflict. We need to change course and start a new era. We need to cultivate hope and build a better future for our people. As an integral part of the one family, the Somali people constitute one of the largest and most resilient people in the Horn of Africa. Somalis are largely energetic, dynamic, independent-minded, and entrepreneurial, also friendly.
Now, the President of Somaliland, His Excellency Musa Bihi Abdi, then cited the suffering of unprecedented challenges ranging from COVID-19 to environmental and socio-economic problems, and that regional cooperation is urgently needed. Let's listen to him again.
Though we may be separated by land and sea, nothing will diminish the important role you all play and will continue to play in your efforts to bring peace and stability to the African continent. The region is suffering from a combination of unprecedented challenges, which range from the COVID-19 to environmental and socio-economic issues. Regional cooperation and hegemony is urgently required to steward the vulnerable to more prosperous and stable future. Restarting of these mediation talks with international support is an important factor in securing a more sustainable future in the fulfillment of onerous and worthy duty of building a safe, secure, and stable relationship for the people, for Somaliland and Somalia.
The President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, His Excellency Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed Farmajo, said he was honored to participate in this historic summit here in Djibouti and thanked His Excellency Mr. Ismail Margele for the warm welcome and hospitality extended to him and his delegation. Let's listen to the President.
It's a great pleasure for me and my delegation to be part of this historical summit here in Djibouti. Let me take this opportunity to thank my older brother, His Excellency Ismail Margele, for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to me and my delegation. It's an extraordinary honor for me and surely for all Somalis that we are here today to convene our historic talks on Somali's future here in Djibouti, following our last meeting in Addis Ababa with my brother Musa Bihi. The Somali government and its people also express true and sincere gratitude to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, my brother, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, who organized and arranged for me our first meeting with my brother Musa Bihi in Addis Ababa. We thank you, Dr. Abiy, for your support and commitment on resuming the talks between the two parties.
For his part, the President of the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Ismail Mergeli, said that the Republic of Djibouti will always hope that our brotherly Somali people will find a way forward together and will always be present to help promote the best result for all parties concerned. Let's listen to the President of the Republic.
Excellencies, heads of state and government, distinguished guests, it gives me great pleasure to be here with you today to restart the discussions between two brotherly leaders, two Somali leaders. This is only the last of many such meetings you have had over the last 20 years, and we still have hope that you will be to have fruitful talks today. As we all know, a few days from now will mark the 60th anniversary of the end of colonial power in the Somali territories. After the struggles of the last 30 years, the time for a rebirth is now. Indeed, this new generation of young people are not burdened by the violence of the past, and I believe they are the best suited to build anew. What is in mind? I would like to remember that this is not for or about our generation. It's not even about our children's generation anymore, but about our grandchildren and the idea we want them to have of the Somali nation. You may be the ones in the room today, but they will be the ones who will live with the decisions you make for them. We know that not of all the problems will be solved here today, but we also have to remember that just being open to discussions and be willing to get the men and women you lead closer today is the ultimate goal. Putting aside the political side of things, we would like to see beneficial outcomes in terms of free trade, free movement of people and goods, as well as cooperation on all matters in order to provide opportunities to help your people prosper. Once you have established a blueprint for cooperation, you can start to build on those achievements and ultimately give it any form you like.
In second part, the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Mergeli, referred to the importance of bringing together leaders from the Horn of Africa to reflect on the importance of a peace. Let's listen to him again.
Your Excellencies, there comes a time in every leader's life when the people in the room have to make the decisions that will serve most of their people and do the most good for the largest part of the population. That political courage is demanded of you today, and I believe that you are up to the task. This is not a zero-sum game where there is a winner and a loser. All we can ask is that you think beyond past and imagine what future is for your peoples. I would like to thank you for trusting us today and wish you a fruitful discussions. As Djiboutians, we also remain hopeful that our brotherly Somali peoples will find a way forward together and will always stand with you to help foster the best outcomes for everyone involved. Thank you.
It was the speech of the President of the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Ismail Margeli, regarding the summit. Now, the Secretary General of Ministry of Health, Dr. Salah Bennett Tourab, made the daily press briefing on Sunday, June 14, 2020. Let's hear the report.
Point de presse sur la situation de Covid-19 ce dimanche 14 juin 2020.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab, made the daily press briefing on Sunday, June 14, 2020. The data of the pandemic of COVID-19 are as follows. 525 tests were performed, of which 16 cases positive of COVID-19, 127 cases cured, and 2 new deaths. As for the balance sheet, we have 41,380 tests were performed, of which 4,465 cases positive were found of COVID-19 and 2,950 cases were confirmed cured. 43 deaths. Continue to call 1517 and remain vigilant. Protect yourself and others.
Under the leadership of Vice President Honorable Shukri Ali Ainan, the Standing Committee in charge of Social Development and Environmental Protection examined this Sunday, June 14, 2020, the draft law number 76 AN 20 80th L on the adoption of the National Policy of Vocational Training. This meeting was attended by the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, assisted for the occasion by senior officials of the aforementioned ministerial department. At the end of the exchanges, after which an instructive debate, the deputies forwarded to the next public session with their favorable opinion the provisions on the agenda of the Social Development Commission. This one shared by the Honorable Shamarki Musa Ari, the Committee on Finance, General Economy and Planning, together with the members who are not members of this committee, concluded its parliamentary examination of the financial accounts for the financial year 2017 of the National Social Security Fund, CNSS. As usual, this meeting was attended by the Minister of Labor in charge of the reform of the administration, Asman Ibrahim Roble, accompanied by the Director General and key officials of the CNSS. At the end of the discussion, the financial health of the CNSS for the social strategy, the accounts of the CNSS for the fiscal year 2017 were transmitted with a favorable opinion to the next public session of the National Assembly. Moving on to the international news, Germany, France, Italy, and Netherlands have signed an agreement with the pharmaceutical group AstraZeneca to guarantee the supply of 300 million doses of a possible coronavirus vaccine to the European Union. More details with Dini Musa.
Refers to the 400 million doses. The 4 countries have signed an agreement with the group, which was created in 999 by the merger of Sweden's Astra and Britain's Zenka, to supply all European Union under member countries as soon as a vaccine against COVID-19 is discovered, the German Health Ministry said.
That was it for our news tonight. Thank you for watching us. Stay with us for the rest of the program.